Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. A red targeting line crawled across the forward glass, while 300 unidentified ships locked weapons on the human formation. Somewhere behind Admiral Daniel Voss, a child began crying over an open family channel, and the bridge crew still had no answer for the fleet closing on them. Voss kept one hand on the back of his command chair. Beyond the formation, something vast circled a blue-white star, its dark surface beginning to shine. "Range," he asked. "Closing." "Then hold position." Weeks earlier, the same fleet had been moving in the opposite direction. Humanity had spent generations seeking admission to the Galactic Council. Humans obeyed treaty limits, sent food after famines, and dispatched ships into border wars. Each concession earned another test. Then the final vote arrived. Expulsion. Every human vessel was to leave Council territory. There had been fury across Earth and its colonies, but no appeal. Voss had stood on this same bridge while transports, research craft, warships, cargo haulers, and civilian liners gathered behind him until the stars were hidden by human hulls. An officer had asked whether they should transmit a farewell. Voss had watched the border beacon shrink on the main display. "Save the power," he said. "We're done asking." The fleet crossed into uncharted space. Days stretched into weeks, fuel calculations tightened, civilian channels quieted. No stations waited ahead, and no voices answered. Then a sensor technician found the pulse. It came from a dead system, weak, ancient, repeating. Voss ordered a course change. Hours later, the fleet reached a blue star and found a construction wrapped around it on an impossible scale. Curving bands disappeared beyond sight. Dark surfaces carried symbols humanity had recorded in ruins scattered across dozens of worlds. Before anyone could launch a probe, the structure opened. 5 words entered every human receiver. "Children of Earth, you are here." Then the transmission ended. Commander Lena Reyes led the first team through the opening. Her boots struck a floor untouched by dust. Machinery slid behind translucent panels. Pale lines brightened ahead of her, as if the station knew where she intended to walk. Doors that had remained sealed for ages opened before human hands reached them. At the end of a long passage, Lena's team entered a chamber large enough to hold a city block. Figures were waiting. Their leader was tall, spare, and wrapped in layered fabric threaded with dim light. "I am Est," he said, "one of the Aurelians." Lena forgot to breathe for a second. The name belonged to archaeology and argument. The Aurelians had supposedly vanished millions of years before the modern galactic powers rose. "You know us," Es said. "We know your ruins." "That is not the same thing." A map appeared above the floor. Stars filled the chamber. Systems known to humanity shone among thousands more. Then one small world brightened near the center. "Earth." Lena stared at it. "How?" Es turned toward the image. "We watched your species before you had names for the stars." Before Lena could ask another question, the chamber lights snapped red. The floor trembled. A warning rolled across the walls. "Incoming vessels." That was how Voss found himself facing a council battle line, in a system the council had ordered humanity to abandon. The central display switched to Chancellor Vorik. His jaw was set. "You will withdraw from this system." Voss leaned back slightly. "You removed us from your jurisdiction. The installation you discovered is of galactic significance." A few officers exchanged looks. Voss understood the sentence beneath the sentence. "Not yours, ours." Vorik continued. "Transfer access and depart." "No." The answer seemed to unsettle the bridge more than a speech would have. Council ships advanced. Weapons charged. Human ships drew into a shield line ahead of the ancient station. Council hulls crowded the tactical display. Every captain could see the imbalance. Vorik's image returned. "This is your final opportunity." Voss looked at the tactical display, then at the civilian ships clustered deeper in the formation. "Take it from us." The first beam came fast. It should have cut through the forward human screen. Instead, space warped near the station. The beam bent away, vanished, then burst back into view behind the council line. Ships scattered. All around the blue star, rings began turning. Panels kilometers wide opened across the ancient structure. Then the council fleet went dark. Engines died, weapon signatures vanished, comms collapsed into static. A new voice filled both formations. We survived by remaining unseen, he said. You have mistaken concealment for helplessness. Something enormous rose from behind the station. At first Voss thought a moon was moving. Then lights appeared across its surface. It was a warship. Its hull dwarfed cruisers. Weapon apertures opened along ridges wider than cities. Symbols burned across black metal as systems dormant for ages came online. Vorik said nothing. Contacted Voss privately. You need to see why we hid. The hologram that appeared showed an older galaxy. Aurelian markers covered thousands of systems. Then black regions spread inward from beyond the rim. Entire clusters vanished beneath them. Named the enemy. The Voidborn. Machine fleets ruled by a single ancient intelligence. They did not occupy worlds or negotiate surrender. They removed civilizations until almost nothing remained to remember them. The Aurelians had fought for centuries, lost most of their empire, then buried what survived and shut down their networks. Changed the display. A moving signal burned red at the galaxy's edge. They have found the trail again. Voss's mouth went dry. How much time? Days. The first distant contacts appeared before the sentence had fully settled. Hundreds. Then more. The council fleet regained power, but the confrontation was over. Even Vorik understood that. Faced Voss across the transmission. You have no debt to those who expelled you. Voss studied the map. Beyond the border were council capitals, colonies, mining stations, farms, schools, billions who had never cast a vote against Earth. No debt, he said, still people. For the first time, smiled. Across the system, hidden docks opened. Aurelian warships began to wake. The Voidborn entered council space before defensive fleets could reorganize. Systems went silent in succession. Emergency calls flooded every channel the humans had once used to request membership. Some officers aboard Voss's flagship listened with hard faces. They abandoned us, one said. Now they want rescue. Voss pointed at a civilian distress marker. Did that city vote? The officer looked down. Then move. Human commanders took control of weapons built by a civilization millions of years older than their own. But they did not fight like Aurelians. They baited machine fleets into debris fields. They hid ships behind broken moons. They opened jump points at angles the Voidborn had not defended because no previous enemy had tried anything so inefficient, risky, or strange. It worked. The Red Front slowed. On worlds that had spent generations calling humans unstable, people watched human ships arrive between them and extinction. Then the command vessel appeared. It entered through the thickest part of the fighting, a black mass so huge the tactical display had to rescale around it. Spoke over the bridge channel. That is the controlling intelligence. A warning flashed. One weapon was charging. Its firing solution ended at Earth. Voss stood. Time, 20 minutes. No one moved. Then he pointed toward the black vessel. Prep a boarding craft. Appeared on the side display. That interior is the most defended place in their fleet. We're not taking the ship. Voss picked up his helmet. We're cutting the hand off the body. 12 soldiers went with him. Inside the Voidborn vessel, corridors shifted while they ran. Metal walls closed routes behind them. Machines poured from openings in the ceiling and floor. The team kept changing direction, forcing doors, crossing maintenance shafts, and turning local systems against one another. They reached the central chamber with minutes left. A black machine filled it from floor to ceiling. Cables vanished into the walls in every direction. There was no face, no throne, nothing human about it. The voice came from the room itself. Your species cannot prevail. Voss held a compact Aurelian device against the central housing. It had been built to rupture the coordination link connecting the Voidborn fleet. He looked up at the machine. "We only need you to stop." He triggered it. The chamber struck him with a pulse that drove every soldier to the floor. Across the galaxy, Voidborn ships froze. Weapons powered down in the middle of firing cycles. Engines went cold. Attack formations drifted without direction. On Voss's wrist, the countdown to Earth stopped. Then the command vessel began tearing itself apart. The boarding team ran. Their craft cleared the hull just before the black ship folded into a widening field of debris. Months later, Voss stood inside the Galactic Council chamber beneath the same emblems that had once marked humanity as unfit to remain. Every tier was occupied. Delegates who had voted for exile now watched him from behind polished desks. Vorik rose and offered restoration of membership, military honors, expanded authority, and a permanent human seat among the senior powers. Voss let the list run to its end. Then he reached into his coat. The small council insignia he had carried since humanity's candidate years clicked against the table. "You closed the door when you believed we were easy to discard," he said. "Now you've seen what stands behind us, and suddenly the door is open." A translator whispered somewhere in the upper rows, then stopped. Vorik's fingers tightened around the edge of his desk. "Admiral, this offer recognizes humanity's contribution to the survival of the galaxy." Voss looked across the chamber. "The civilians we defended mattered. This room did not become wiser because we won." No one moved. He pushed the insignia toward the center of the table. "Give the seat to someone still asking for your permission." Then he stepped away from it. Humanity formed a different alliance. The Aurelians joined first. Smaller worlds followed, then systems that had spent centuries speaking only when stronger powers allowed it. The new charter gave them equal standing. On the day the first assembly opened, Voss did not stand at its center. He watched from an upper gallery as delegates from young colonies, ancient survivors, and former council worlds crossed the floor below. Near the entrance, a maintenance worker removed the old council emblem from a borrowed wall panel and set it face down beside a toolbox. Above it, a new navigation display came alive. Dozens of routes spread outward from Earth, none of them ending at the old border.